Welcome to Untold Horrors, the podcast where your hosts, Jamie and Steph, sacrifice their free time, and probably their sanity, to mine the depths of Tubi in search of hidden treasures. Each week, they'll fire up Tubi, spin the roulette of despair, and let Tubi's keyword search decide their fate. Join your intrepid explorers as they laugh, scream, and occasionally question their life choices, one obscure horror flick at a time. Untold Horrors, because Tubi's algorithm has no mercy, and neither do we. Let the roulette spin, and let the suffering begin.
Here's how to play Tubi roulette. Go to Tubi, type in a search term, hit enter, and quickly scan the options. Pick a film in 60 seconds from the first 9 to 12 results. No scrolling. No trailers. No mercy.
Let the games begin.
So given that we decided to do this reboot right before Thanksgiving, my pick was Thanksgiving horror. Since I came up with the theme, I let you pick the film. And you picked a film called Derelicts, which I think is from 2017. Is that correct?
Yes. I like home invasion movies. I like RR movies and I like home invasion movies. They're kind of connected. And one of the reasons why I like them is the physical impact and the emotional impact they have. It's like I get impressed when art, like something you just look at or hear, makes you physically like that's impressive to me. And unfortunately, in both cases, the assaults and the invasions have to be harsh to make the movie effective. And Derelicts didn't get it. They didn't do it. They misinterpreted the whole thing and just said, let's be gross. And that's shocking. And it could be what it is. It was shocking, but it was also, I was disgusted, but it made me feel disgusted with myself that I wasn't more disgusted. Does that make sense? Because it was just, it tried too hard to be disgusting. And it ended up just being useless and offensive and obnoxious.
That's interesting.
So I usually like everything, but I don't respect this. So therefore I didn't like it.
Interesting. So I had a completely different experience watching this film.
Oh.
And I expected this to be like really lowbrow B-movie schlockiness. And to be fair, to a large extent, it is that exactly. But yeah. I plan to come to this podcast and say, why the hell was this movie kind of good? Like, I don't think it should have been, but I thought it was kind of good. And here's the thing. First of all, this is one of those films that like it's got a very specific audience. It's a very specific kind of film. And this is either your jam or it's not. And if it's not your jam, it's like really not your jam. Like it's not going to work for a large portion of the population. And it's not meant to work for that portion of the population. But I feel like there is an audience for this. And I think the audience that it's catering to, it's doing a good job delivering what it's promising. Like it's
a trauma audience, maybe?
Yeah,
like
well, I feel like this is film. So it's definitely grindhouse. Like it's definitely homage-y. It's paying tribute to
Yes.
70s, late 70s, early 80s, like grindhouse aesthetic. It really feels like a mashup of, it's one of those films that wears its influences on its sleeve, right? So it's a little bit Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a lot actually, Devil's Rejects. And I would say really, when we're talking about audience for this, I'd say if you're a zombie fan, if you like that white, trashy, super gritty, super like a little bit sleazy type of vibe, this is likely to be in your wheelhouse. If you don't, if that's something that like immediately turns you off, stay very far away from this film, because you've got to be into that vibe, or this is going to do absolutely nothing for you other than just repel you and make you disgusted.
But I kind of like movies like that, or
I do.
It depends. But yeah, I don't want to say I like that genre. I want to say basically like, if it's a good grimy movie, I like some, I don't like others. Now, Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses, you mentioned Rob Zombie. I like House a lot more than Devil's Rejects, but I like Devil's Rejects too. There's just something about Derelicts that I don't know. It just, I am the last movie enthusiast on earth that should say it went too far, because those words don't exist in my vocabulary. But something with that jerking off kid, and something with the father, and how just completely bereft of emotion he was in life, and the wife. Okay, the woman who played the wife, okay, give her a thumbs up. She was great. Her character went all over the place. But that actress, that performance was great. The black dude who played the derelict. I'm sorry, I don't know the words. I'm a redneck. Sorry. He was great, I thought.
Listen, here's the thing. Besides the fact that I truly do have a soft spot for the kinds of films that this film is paying tribute to. Like, I'm a zombie defender. I know that's a controversial statement, and I've had plenty of arguments about this, but and maybe it's because I'm a Southern girl, and listen, like, I've had arguments with people that are like, characters like this do not exist. And I'm like, oh, honey, please come and visit me for a little bit and let me show you that characters like this actually do exist. And it's terrifying, but real, and inspired by, like, sure, they're caricatures, and sure, they're exaggerated, but they're inspired by very real types of people and behaviors and personalities. So maybe living in the horrific Deep South, I have a different kind of appreciation for films that skewer that population a little bit. But with that said, like, this is clearly intended as a black comedy. It's clearly intentionally funny, darkly funny, dark, but like there's like some pretty hilarious shit in it. In fact, the film starts by the way you get introduced to this like nuclear family that's getting ready for Thanksgiving before they get home invaded by the Derelicts. It starts with people you overhear. There's a couple laying in bed, and the wife and the husband, and they have a pretty strained relationship. It's pretty cold. There's not a lot of love or romance between them. And you overhear another couple in another room having very loud, obtrusive sex. The screaming kind, the kind that is like much louder than it needs to be when there's other people in the house. And then when you pan to kind of figure out who's having this like wild, insane sex, it's their parents. It's this old couple. It's like the woman's dad and his girlfriend. And it's pretty funny because they're like really going at it, and they're like really into each other, and they do this it's not just like a one and done joke. Like they have like multiple rounds of this like wild, insane sex. Meanwhile, the younger couple, the like children who are grown ass adults themselves, but you know, they're young comparatively, are like not touching each other. And the wife tries to like get a little affectionate with the husband, and the husband's like, bitch, step off. Like, what are you doing? Like, gross. And she calls him like an ice queen, which I think is hilarious. She's like, you're the only man I know who's an ice queen. And like, this is how the movie starts before it like gets really nutty. And there's a lot of this kind of shit in it. And I found it delightful. Like, it's cheap and seedy and not even the slightest bit sophisticated, but it's funny. And the whole point of this film, I believe, is to deconstruct the nuclear family. Like, this family is broken, right? Like, the kids hate each other. The brother and sister hate each other. The mom and dad hate each other pretty much. The dad's cheating on the mom with this hot young thing. He just like the mom's having a mental breakdown. The daughter's they allude to the fact that the daughter had a mental breakdown. The son is like disgusting perv. And a real tool. Like, he's not a nice dude. And I think it's very important that you don't like any of these people. You don't like anybody. You don't root for anyone. All you want to see is like fucking carnage and blood splattered turkeys, because these people all suck. And that's the fun of it. And I found it a little bit delightful. Like, it sort of worked for me. I'm going to shut up and now, Jamie, and let you take it from there.
Well, Just to bounce off what you said, the movie that you just described to me, I love. I would love to see a movie like that. The only problem is when I saw Derelicts, I didn't see that kind of movie. I didn't think it was. Now, listen to me. I'm like complaining about art and professionalism. Okay, there was no professionalism in it whatsoever. There was no style.
Professionalism.
It was just what. Oh, I let you cackle. Oh.
There's no professionalism. Okay, I'm
Meaning
sorry.
it didn't feel like they gave a fuck.
I think they did.
There was no direction or atmosphere or light. Hey, you didn't embarrass.
I know. You're right. I'm shutting up. Nope, you're right.
Do your comedy routine when I'm done.
Okay. Somebody's got to, you know. I'll do it. No problem.
Sure. I mean, there was no style. There was no atmosphere. It looks like they just got a bunch of, I don't know. Was it filmed on film or on digital or VHS? I actually couldn't tell.
I don't know.
Well, whatever it was, it's like they didn't even say, okay, we're going to do this and it'll look great there and there. They just like had it on a pole and went, boop. Okay, we could see everybody in this shot. Action. I didn't see style. I didn't like how it ended. I don't know. I don't know. You've got me flummoxed. I didn't like it.
What did I do? I didn't do anything.
It's just funny because you saw something really great and really nutritional in it, and I just didn't. I just thought
nutritional. It was like. Here's the thing. First of all,
that's a funky word.
I vehemently reject your notion that there's no style, because I actually took notes. This is very like creatively shot, and they do a lot of really interesting things. Like, for example, I'm going to. For example, early on, when they're first sort of introducing the crazies, the derelicts, and they're invading the family, and they sort of pull them. You know, everybody's sort of being pulled aside and terrorized individually. And they do this really interesting split screen where you're seeing like different scenes happen at the same time. And then they're doing like a lot of weird, and I can't really describe it. There's a lot of very cool visual shit that's happening here in this setup. And I think they do a good amount. Like, there's a lot of camera movement in this. There's a lot of like sort of chaotic scenes where people are like running around like crazy and fighting and like flinging each other all over the place and stuff. And then they do this weird. This didn't work as much for me, but at least they're like they're trying to be creative. They're doing this weird every time there's an like exterior shot. It's sort of desaturated. It's all gray and there's like storm clouds and stuff. And they switch back and forth to like the interior where there's all this like chaos and it's very colorful and there's all this like blood and you know, craziness happening. And then they do this like very like sort of artsy shot of the house, like with this storm cloud and stuff. And again, I think a lot of this is like tongue in cheek. But I don't know. I found it like, it's not an art house film, right? It is not Citizen Kane by any means, but I did find it creative and stylish. And I did find there's a lot of like passion and heart into it. I get, while it's not going to work for everyone, probably isn't going to work for most people, to be honest. Again, a very specific audience for this kind of film, but I certainly didn't think it was lazy by any means.
So, thumb up and down. We agree to disagree. I wouldn't say I hated it. It just, maybe it was not a good idea to watch funny games like the day before. I don't know. Because now that's the same theme done right.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's, well, first of all, it's crazy because I just was talking about some of the directorial cinematic choices, and you didn't even comment. You're just like, oh, thumb up and thumb down. Like, you disagree. You didn't see any stylish editing or filming techniques in the film?
Perhaps this is one of my communication problems. I agreed with both your De Palma detail and the outdoors and the clouds and all that. Thing is, when I agree with people, sometimes I don't say anything. I just sort of go out. But you're right. I did not mention those things. Those things are creative. Mostly when I think about this film and I remember it, what I remember is lots of gross sex stuff. I guess I'm a pervert that way. Lots of gross sex stuff and that dining room, which is all one color, which is just them yelling at each other, intimidating each other, and just being shitty. So now that you've expanded my memory a little bit, there were creative parts of it, but it was not impressed. I was not impressed. I didn't like it.
I was going to say, I don't think it's fair to compare this to something like Funny Games. This is 100% like B-movie grindhouse, like sleazy horror, little bit cheesy horror film. This film is very self-aware. It knows exactly what it is. It tells you from the first minute of the film what it is going to be. It leans, it's campy. Like, I don't know. I get somebody saying like, oh, I just don't like that kind of film. That doesn't work for me. But I think if you do like that kind of film, this kind of just does exactly what you expect it to. And I would argue would like want it to.
But I like that kind of movie. And this didn't do it for me.
That's fine, I guess. I mean, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, to say, like, well, being it's no Funny Games, like, of course. Of fucking course it's not. I was pretty delighted. Like, I would never, hear me when I say, I would never, like, go and, like, shout from the mountaintop, like, oh my God, everybody needs to go see this film. It's a goddamn masterpiece. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
Umbrella. We need a special edition.
It's pretty fucking fun. It's really fun, especially maybe because I'm a little bit like, I don't know, I'm a little jaded. I'm not super into the holidays this year. And like, I don't know, seeing something that sort of subverts the like holiday family, feel good purity of the season. And it's just a little bit mean-spirited, a little bit, not a little bit. It's a lot mean-spirited.
It's a lot.
It's nasty. It's nihilistic. It ends very nihilistically. It's really disgusting and savage and non-politically correct and just, a grotesque parody of Thanksgiving itself. And I perhaps was just in the mood for that because it's sort of like, it just sort of tickled me. I found it, charming is not the right word for this film, but I found it, I found it delightfully entertaining.
Okay, I'm glad you did. I found it, well, okay, to be positive.
You're not being fun. You're just like, okay, good for you. What do you want, a cookie? What do you want? What do you want from me?
What do you want, a medal?
And also, no, before you say anything, you were all like, I have so much to say about this film. I can't wait to get started.
And
you
I
haven't
did
said
say
shit. You haven't said shit about it.
What do you think? Do you think like this is, when you were watching this, did you feel suspense? I did feel suspense. I was on the edge of my seat because it's that whole trope of you have no idea what these guys are going to do next. And you're kind of like, oh my God, is it going to be horrible? Is it going to be gross? Like the imagination pretty much always thinks of something that's worse than they actually do. In this one, though, they kind of rivaled my imagination at least a little bit.
I feel like that's a compliment. I feel like that's a really good thing when a filmmaker can surprise you. When you are like, what the fucked up thing are they going to do next? And you sort of think you've seen it all. And then they do something more fucked up than you imagined. I always want to kind of cheer when that happens. I'm like, brava, like, good job. Thank you for fucking me up a little bit more than I expected you to. That doesn't usually happen.
Did any of it like offend you?
No.
Or like as much as you can be offended? Did any of it make you go like, ooh?
No, I don't get offended. Not by movies. I mean, I get offended in real life a lot. No, I get offended in real life a lot. Like every time I open social media or watch the news, I'm deeply offended, but not by movies. No, I mean, it's not, I mean, I guess it is offensive content intentionally. Like it's meant to like,
oh, sure it is,
offend you. But I mostly found it funny and entertaining and delightful. But I'm a little bit of a sicko, so I should clarify that because plenty of people will be offended by the content in this film. And we haven't even talked about Turk, who is the guy in the pink teddy bear mask.
Why is there Turk? Come on. Why?
Because he's fucking amazing and kind of my favorite thing ever. And I really do need him to get his own spinoff movie because I would watch a whole goddamn series of like 12 films all about Turk.
He could have committed unfathomable atrocities, but he like hops around and squeaks and like takes off his pants like once or twice to scare the girls, and it's all focused on him. Like the last couple minutes of the movie are all him,
fucking incredible,
spinning around.
He's incredible. He is maybe the best. He's maybe the best thing that's ever happened to horror. And
what is he?
He's Turk. I don't know how more clear I can be.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen or don't care to see, Turk is some type of gimp-esque creature person who has a stuffed bear, has a stuffed teddy bear, hollowed out, and eyes and a mouth are cut out of the bear itself, and the bear skin is then wrapped around Turk's face like a mask, but it's got like a teddy bear head. So it's like a teddy bear with two eyes and a mouth in its stomach. And that could be neat, I guess. But Turk isn't scary. He just sort of hops around like, ooh, ooh. And at the end of this movie, at one point, the Derelicts decide to put on their Sunday best that the family owns. And Turk puts on a nice suit. But the last part of the movie, he's just like standing in front of a window, grunting and spinning around.
First of all, he's on coke because they made him. He's first of all, he's already a little mentally disturbed. I think we're clear on that from the get go. And
obvious.
then they make him take coke, and then he loses his mind. He becomes completely unhinged, and it's fucking great. And I think we could at least agree that he looks incredible. Like the design of him is so good.
Yeah,
it's so good. The teddy bear head mask, I eat it up. Yum 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 yum.
I said that when I described him. Yeah, it is a great look.
It's interesting. I expected you to. I really thought you'd like it. We're already like 2 hours into this thing.
We are not.
Just sum up your thoughts.
I just did.
All right.
Although it has gnarly moments. No, I don't like it.
I think this is fun. I think that it is messy and sleazy and a little stupid. It's super bleak and nihilistic. It's pretty fucking funny. And I think that if you like gritty indie horror and you sort of like that Rob Zombie-esque thing, like despicable characters saying and doing despicable things with this sort of like white trash veneer, I think there's a chance that you will find this funny. It's pretty short. I think it's like an hour and 13 minutes or something. It's pretty short. It's very fast paced. It goes by really quickly. And even though this is going to drop after Thanksgiving, I mean, it does take place at Thanksgiving, but you can watch this anytime. It doesn't need to be anytime, especially like over the holidays. Especially if you're someone who's dealing with any sort of toxicity in your family dynamic, whether that's like the whole family or just certain individuals. I think that this will be a nice little escape for you. I think it'll be fun. I think you'll appreciate it.
I would recommend this for the trauma audience. If you've seen, I don't know, Fight for Your Life, and you want to see a gross caricature of it, you can maybe try this, as a double feature. I don't know.
And it's worth it just to see Turk, who is
I love Turk.
my new favorite person. I love him so much. I guess we're done here.
Yeah, it was fun.
I mean, let's not get carried away.
You are such a redhead.
Take that as a compliment.
Okay.